Hello. Well, today's job is to replace the lower panels on my garage doors. I tried to clean them up and found out there was a lot more rot than was repairable, especially with this one. And so we're just going to replace them. All the other panels are reasonable shape. I got 2 panels for $600, and to replace the garage doors entirely probably cost me around $2 grand, so I figured it was cost effective to just replace them. Okay, here's the door from the inside. Yeah, you can see I patched it a few times, and the problem with replacing this panel is being on the bottom is that the springs for counterbalancing also attach at the bottom, and so you can see that the extension spring, which I also recently replaced, being fully extended, has a lot of energy, and that cable connects at the very bottom in the corner on both sides. And so to remove that, you want to make sure that you've safely tied off the spring so that you can raise the door, and well, you'll see how I go through it. But here's what I have. Here's the new panel. It's nicely painted. I put 3 coats on, and then I also put a bead of caulk at the very bottom, so hopefully these panels will last a little bit longer. Put new handles on it, put new bottom rubber gasket on it. And here's some of the tools that I'm going to use today. I'm going to tie off the springs with some chain and some S-hooks, and I'm going to hold up the door with some vice grips, and I got my trusty power drill to back off all the screws. And to lift the door, I'm going to use my floor jack with a piece of 2x6, and we'll see how it all goes. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect the door from the garage door opener, and then I'm going to raise the door a bit, put my jack underneath it with 2x6, and then I'm going to unplug my garage door opener, make sure that nothing inadvertently moves on you. I want to be safe here. Okay, so I have the garage door opener disconnected, and I have my floor jack in place underneath the door, and the door is open, about a foot or so. The next thing I want to do is make sure I secure the springs, and so I'm going to do that with some chain and some S-hooks, and I'm sorry I can't show you as I'm doing it, but I'll show you how it looks after I've got it connected, and so what happens when you're the only one doing the filming. Okay, here we go. I've got both sides tied off here with a bit of chain, a couple of S-hooks, and as I raise the door some more, the idea is that the chain is going to take up the tension on the spring, and I should be then able to remove the cable, which is at the very bottom bracket of the door. All right, I've raised the door probably about another 6 inches or so, and you can see that now indeed the chain has taken up the tension on the spring, and the cable is now slack enough that I can remove the brackets at the base. All right, I've got vice grip on the top roller on both sides, and also, just to be a little extra safe, I put a couple of poles on either side of the roller that's going to be staying. And so the next step is to undo the brackets at the bottom, and the same time that I'm replacing the brackets, I'll also replace the rollers on them. Next, after that, will be to undo the hinges between the first and second panel. And oh, by the way, I'll let the jack back down just a little bit, make sure that everything was being supported and nothing's going to come crashing down when I undo everything. Okay, both the lower brackets are off, and you can see the cable is now hanging, and next are the hinges. Okay, all the hinges are off, disconnected, and all that's left now is to lower the panel, and the rest of the door should stay in place, and then we begin putting it all back together. And that wasn't too difficult. It lowered it out and it popped right out. So next I'm going to take the new panel, put it on the board, raise it up into position, and then reconnect the hinges. Okay, one other little detail. I've turned the door upside down and I'm notching the bottom gasket so that it doesn't interfere with the outside weather stripping. Okay, new panel is in place, and next step is to connect the hinges. I want to make sure that I've got everything nice and centered. And I'm going back in with some self-tapping sheet metal screws, a little bit more beefier than the single pinhead screws that were in there. Okay, reconnected the hinges, and you can see the screws that I've used. One side had a little bit of a problem in that there was quite a bit of bow in the panel above, so in order to get them closed up nice and tight, I used a cabinet clamp to bring the last joint together. Alright, something I didn't notice was this bracket actually has the back side of the cable attachment kind of riveted over right here, and if you don't drill a small 1/2 inch, 1/8 inch deep hole for that, it won't fit properly. So I'm going to go drill those holes in the second door before I put it up. This time I had to do it in place after trying to get it in there. So, something to be aware of. Next step is to put the bottom brackets back on. They have a roller in the bottom. I'm going to replace the rollers at this time. It's the best time to do it when you have it off, and it's cheap. Okay, not the easiest job in the world for one person at a time, but done. All the hinges are back on, the bottom plates are back on. Make sure the cable is connected and not wrapped around. And next step is to lift the door again, take off the vice grips, and let it down to take the load with the springs, take the chains off, and we're done. All right. I've let the door down. Make sure the cables are still connected. One of them disconnected as I was letting it down, so I put it back up, reconnect it, and you can see now the chain is slack and I'm ready to take the chain off. There it is, new panel. Took me probably about an hour, and that was with taking all the video and figuring out the next step and how to do it a little faster the next time. So second one should be a little sweeter. Now it's time to reconnect the garage door opener, and we're good to go. Hope you enjoyed it.